This is the Motivated Business Show, hosted by me, Mark Terrell, the author of Motivated, the Reluctant Leader's Guide to Building a Business that Sets You Free. In my book, I share the 7-step process to get the measure of your business. M.E.A.S.U.R.E is an acronym that stands for Mirror, Evaluate, Action, Systemize, Unify, Review, and Energize. On each episode, I'll be chatting to a business owner about how they stay motivated and how they've got the measure of their business. So without further ado, let's find out who's joining me on this episode. Hello and welcome to this edition of the Motivated Business Show with me, Mark Terrell. Today we are going to be talking sales. My guest is found herself in sales. Interestingly, with our pre-show chat, she told me she never had any intention of going into sales, but now she teaches people how to sell, amongst other things, and she's also got a community that she's growing and helping female business owners to grow their businesses. So looking forward to that chat that's coming up. Before we do that, just a couple of things I want to introduce to you. If you've not seen this podcast before, I wrote a book a while ago called Motivated, and in that book I talk about a 7-step process. There's actually 9 chapters in the book. 7 of them are about those 7 steps. The other 2 are about looking after yourself and also enjoying the journey. So if you want to read more about that, then my book, you can get it either from Amazon in Kindle or paperback form, or you can buy it direct from me, and you can do that in a couple of ways. One way you can do it actually is to buy me a couple of coffees. So if you'd like to buy me 2 coffees, then I would be more than happy to send you a copy of my book. There's a QR code you could use. If you don't want a book, but just like to help the podcast, just keep on the keep going, as it were. And we don't have any sponsors, so any contributions are gratefully received. And we've had 1 or 2 over the recent episodes, so thank you for those people. It makes a lot of difference and keeps the wheels in motion. Right, let's get on with the show and bring on my guest. Welcome, Elaine.
Hello, great to be here. Thanks for having me on, Mark.
My pleasure. So here's, let's just, before we move on, let's give you the opportunity to introduce yourself properly.
Fabulous. Okay, so I am Elaine Atherton, as you quite rightly say, and yes, I am the accidental salesperson. Really, I landed in sales. Probably, if I look back when I was in banking, that gave me that level of customer service and how much I enjoyed working with people, and just about how I wanted to help people. And then when I came out of banking and I was a mum at home, I then decided I wanted to do something to keep the wheels in motion, and I ended up stepping into the network marketing world, buying a kit and building a business. And nobody was more surprised than me when that business at its peak was turning over £4 million a year, and I had over 1,000 people on my team. I still laugh every time I say it because it's quite hysterical, really. And I was told on more than one occasion that, oh, you're too nice to be successful at selling. I'm not sure they meant it as a compliment. I took it as one. I think it was probably a bit of a slight insult, really. But for me, I think that was the whole point. It's actually, you do not need to be salesy to be able to help people. So that sort of took me to where I am now, helping small businesses and turn their passion and expertise into sales in a non-salesy way.
Brilliant. And I think we should start there, because I think a lot of people think about sales as, a bit sleazy and a bit, oh gosh, I don't want to sell. And you've also mentioned the same, what you've described in there was actually helping. So what's the link between helping and sales?
Well, it's like everything, really. It is the absolutely fundamental key thing of it. And when people come to me and say, oh, they've started their own business, they're passionate, they're excited, and then it's like, yeah, but I really don't want to have to sell. So, well, let's do a reality check. For you to stay in business, you are going to have to sell your products. And we are all essentially, whether we put the label on ourselves as a salesperson or if we own our own business, we are selling. We have to sell to stay in business. So that it's like a mindset shift, really. So when we switch it to, so who are you helping and how are you helping them? Who will benefit from the help that you're providing? And when we switch that word to help, it's like it takes time. It's not like oh yeah, I get it. It takes time to pull away from that mindset of I'm selling to actually, yeah, who can I help? How will it feel when that person has got a solution to a problem they've got, and I've actually helped them achieve
Mm.
it? So it is a massive piece of it. And when you get
Mm.
it right and you feel comfortable and your ideal client feels comfortable, it's actually it's very enjoyable, as opposed to something that you think, I'm dreading this because now I've got to sell. So don't
Mm.
think of in your week, I need to get 3 new clients. Think about, who can I help this week? Who's going to benefit from the help that I've got? Who can I talk to tell them about the help I've got, or I can offer? So yeah, so that's sort of that bit of a reframe, really, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned ideal client there, Elaine. So I've been networking in many different scenarios over the years, and you every now and again you get the newbie that turns up who thinks that they can sell what they have to everybody in the room, and then of course it sort of backfires on them, didn't it? So let's talk about the importance of knowing your ideal client and how that can help in many ways in building your business.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When we sit networking, somebody says, "Oh, I can help everybody." You sort of think, my sort of answer is always, unless people selling toothbrushes, it's unlikely they can sell, to everybody. But the ideal client element is if you look at, and I will say, some people come in it different ways. I will say some people, when they start a business, they absolutely know who their ideal client is by the nature of what their service is.
Mm.
So if you created a program for a teacher, for example, teachers, then you know that your ideal client are teachers. You obviously can layer that down as to what level this teacher's at, because depending on what your service is.
Mm.
So that's one way of doing it. But the other way, of course, is as people have decided what services they're going to provide. So then, as we've just said, is who is the ideal client for those services,
Mm.
and it's so important that we get that right. For me, that's part of the foundational pillars of starting a business, because your ideal client, once you get clear on it, and when we say clear on it, it is who's the person or who are the people that are going to benefit from the services that you provide.
Mm.
And I will say, if you provide different services, you have to have, you potentially can have different ideal clients for different services. So if we were looking at one of your services, who is the person or who are the people that are going to get that, and it's going to change something about their world?
Mm.
It's going to help them with some of their pain points. It's going to help them move forward. It could help them save money. So who are the people that are going to really benefit from that service that you've got? And if you don't narrow it down, and I'm not talking niching, I'm talking about narrowing it down, then what will happen when you're doing your messaging is too broad.
Yeah.
And then, so your ideal clients will just think, I don't know whether that's for me or not. I'm not sure. It could be, maybe not. So, and people are very quick now making decisions. They will just move on if they don't feel something relates to them. So
Mm.
it's doubly important that we do it
Yeah.
from our point of view and our buyers' point of view as well.
And also remembering that marketing is an important part of a business and understanding how that works. And if you
Yeah,
haven't really got a clear idea of who your customer is, it's very difficult to actually create a marketing strategy which is going
yeah,
to resonate with somebody. But I'm absolutely with you. It's not about, you don't necessarily have to niche as such. It's just having a way of doing something that is going to appeal to a certain type of person,
yeah,
and being, allowing that to happen. And I said when before we went live, that I'm a believer in that. Yes, you need to set a path, but sometimes you need to be aware that that path might not be exactly the way you go, and being open to being able to
yeah,
adapt to it. So, and you resonate with that because you've made decisions that you would never have envisaged making, but you just saw the opportunity at the time, and then went that way, as opposed to maybe the way you thought you would have gone in the first place.
yeah. No, and it's absolutely right. It's a bit like people say, "Oh, I need a website straight away, and I need it to be this, and need it to be that." Now, I'm
Mm.
always a little bit nervous when people are they're starting out and they're not 100% clear on who they're helping, because you can invest a lot of money in creating something that actually 10 months, a year down the line, you're actually, your ideal client that you originally thought
Mm.
actually has shaped very differently, and you've been taken down a different route, which actually you're enjoying more than you thought, and therefore your business has changed. So we learned so much in those, first 12, 18 months, even 2 years. We learn huge amounts, and, and actually we can gain new ideal clients that we hadn't even thought of. So
Yeah.
be open to that, really.
Advice is so important. I'm going to pick up on websites. Actually, I'm on my. Thankfully, hopefully, it'll be my last one. But I've had 3 websites. My first website I made myself because somebody told me that was a good idea. Terrible advice. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Then the second one, I thought, right, I'm going to get somebody that knows what they're doing. But I got someone that knew how to build a website, but didn't really understand actually the content needs to be about your client and not about you. So my second website was all about me. Of course, no one's interested about you, are they? They want to know how you can help them. So my website now is all about how I help my clients. It's about them, lots of stuff that they can do to help themselves if they don't need my help. But it's about helping people, and that is the key, isn't it? Understanding who you're
Yeah.
helping and help people up front. And that gets
Yeah.
you in the door to have a conversation, and who knows, that might lead you to work with them in the future. So it is really important work. So yeah. So tell us some advice then with regards to sales when you're in that sort of position where you're in front of somebody that is your ideal client, and how you should start approaching that conversation with regards to trying to sell your services to them.
Okay, great question. So, example, I like to use scenarios. So you're maybe networking, you meet someone, and you arrange a one-to-one with that person. The key for me is, I always say, listen and ask great questions and listen to the answers, basically, because we can. While mine works so quickly, when we initially meet people, we can think, oh, I could help them with this, I could help them with that. So we're galloping forward with solutions, and actually we don't really fully understand this person. And I had an amazing one-to-one with a lady yesterday I'd never met before, and I always apologise in a nice way. I'm going to ask you lots of questions. Is that okay? Because I love to understand, people's businesses, and that's exactly what we should be doing. It's like, understand where they're at, they what they need, what their challenges are, what sort of help they're looking for. So and what we gain from that is huge. It's absolutely huge. And are we then the right person to help them? How could we help them with those solutions? And obviously, if we're not, can we direct them to somebody else? Can we signpost them? So this is all back to the idea of, we're not being salesy. We're just listening to how we could help people, or not, as the case may be.
Yeah.
So where do we go from that, if we're in this situation where we have got this synergy with somebody? It will naturally lead us somewhere, and that's either to, listen, I can help you. Should we have a bigger conversation of what that could look like? Or actually, I can't help you, but let me direct to someone who can. So again, it's all about getting comfortable with those things. So nowhere in there, when you're meeting that person, is it, I must get this person to sign on the dotted line today, because once we get that in our head, it actually it becomes too big a factor that sways how we're going to deal with that whole
Yeah.
conversation, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it put pressure on, doesn't it? I feel sorry for the people that are sent networking by companies to essentially just
Yeah.
find customers. It's just such a
Yeah.
really pressured position to be in, isn't it? And and then of course when they come back, how did you get on? Did you get any, get any leads? And
Yeah.
no, oh gosh, failed. But actually, and that's the important thing, isn't it? It takes time sometimes to get to know somebody and I think I've made mistakes in the past where I tried to rush things along and it just doesn't work. You just got to go one step at a time and not rush
Yeah.
anything along and allow it to happen and go at the pace that the other person or the potential client is ready to
Exactly.
go at, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's that whole thing is one of my mantras in business, is when I work with people, is, so this is your view. Now we're going to look at your buyer's view. What is their world looking like? Which is why obviously we have to get understand the words that they're using and why they're using them and the pain points they're having. But also, um, every buyer is different. Some people are very quick making decisions. Yeah, that sounds like, yeah, let's move forward. Other people are reflectors. I reflect. If you try to push me across the line when I wasn't ready, you will probably lose me altogether, because
Yeah.
so you have to understand that person and where they're at
Yeah.
and what they need right now. And as you say, totally, it's pacing it in a way that's comfortable for them.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're a service provider, which it's different, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and also there's lots of opportunity for people to do their homework and check things out, and you've got to allow them to do that. And if you try and sort of circumnavigate that, then I think again it doesn't sort of bode well for the long term sort of future of your relationship if you do become a client.
No.
So interesting. So you're here because your business partner was a guest on the show a few weeks ago. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that. You've worked together for a while, and now you decided that you're going to create a program together and run that.
Yeah, we did. When I came out of the world I was in, I then started my sales coaching business, which I started just coming up to 8 years ago now. So I work with small business owners in my sales coaching business, which I absolutely love. Um, and uh, and then Judith Hamilton and I last year, we've known each other for 3 years now. We often talked about how hard it is in those early stages of starting a business. You start it with this wonderful energy of, I've got all this expertise that I can share with other people. I can make a difference. I'm really passionate. I'm going to be my own boss. It's going to be great. And then when you step into that, it's almost you jump in, and then you think, oh, right, yeah, I now got to learn all these other things as well, which some of them are not natural to me whatsoever. So it feels completely, some days for me, and I'm talking from personal experience, completely overwhelming. Signposts everywhere. Which way should I be going? Advice coming from every angle, and then not knowing what steps you should take that are going to work for your business. So we often talked about that. So anyway, last August it was, we thought, why don't we create a community that helps women in business who've left the employed world and started their own business, and all of what I've just said. So that's what we did. So we've we launched it in January, and we've got a membership community, which is now, within that community, there's a library of 20 trainings that are all things like, getting your pricing right, what type of service you should offer. There's all of those are in there. And then part of that is networking as well. We've is the membership, and also a business clinic for those who want some help. So that's where we started. Um, and we do, as I say, we do the networking, which is great. So that's all working really well. And then we decided, actually, what about those people who just want that bit more up close and personal, and want a bit of hand holding, want a bit of accountability, want to be able to, I need to ask a question, can I ask it now? All of that. So we launched a 12-week program, which we launched that, I don't know, it was a week ago, or yeah, 10 days ago, I think we launched it. And it starts on the 16th of September. So yeah, we're very, very excited about that. And we've just got 3 places as I talk to you now. We have 3 places left anyway, put it that way. Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Mm.
So let's tell a bit more about those steps. I noticed I was actually reading your post that you put out just before, with all the details and also lots of information about what you do. So a few
Yeah.
things I picked out, you're going to be talking about. One of them is business models. So just give us a bit of a flavour about what sort of business models are, and why should we be considering a business model when we're setting up a business.
Yeah, and I think that it's few things intertwined in your business model really. Is firstly, because we can all offer what we offer in different ways. What do you want your business to look like? Is it essentially if it's a coaching business, are you just solely focusing on one-to-one clients? Is that where what you're looking at? Is there other elements to that where you could have a collective of people together, that you could do some online training? What is, or is it that you're planning on working with some companies as a consultant on a consultancy basis? So it's deciding how that's broken down, because obviously this all sits within your income goals as well. What does that look like? So there are certain elements of things. If we were only ever doing one-to-one work, which is not a problem, but we have to appreciate then that we are capping our income by doing that because we only have so many hours. So it's all those things that, in reality, which obviously we've got a lot of experience on, that is, what does that look like for you? And that's the key, is what does it look like for you? What do you want it to look like with your lifestyle and your work-life balance? So that's, and obviously with your income goals. So how do we get that first to look like you want it to look, and then be realistic with the amount of time and energy you're going to have to put in to get it to that place, really.
Yeah,
So
and that time for money thing's important, isn't it? Because like
yeah.
you have a cap on the amount of hours you can work, so you're
Mm,
obviously using them efficiently, and remembering that not all your hours are going to be serving clients. There's other things that your business needs
yep.
that in the early days, before you can afford to pay somebody else to do them, that you're going to have to do. So,
Yep.
it's not realistic to say, well, I've got 45 hours in the week, so I can coach for 40 hours. That's
Yep.
unrealistic, because
Yeah.
you've got marketing and all the other things you've got to do. So really, you're probably
Yeah.
only delivering your service maybe, I don't know, about a third, maybe half of the time, and the rest of the time you'll
Yeah.
be working on your business as opposed to in it. Great.
Yeah. No,
And
totally.
what about pricing? That's the thing that comes up so much, isn't it? It's sort of linked to what you do with regards to sales. How do you get
It
to a point
is.
where your pricing is right for your client?
I honestly think, Mark, if I had to say, and from my own personal experience and working with other people, is it is probably one of the biggest things that people debate for so long.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, it's like, how do you decide? You look at other people who do similar to you, and they, as we always say, with any type of service, they're not paying just for the time that they've got you. They're paying for all the years it took you to be able to be, to be able to deliver what you deliver. So
Yeah.
it's a really a big challenge. And of course, if your pricing's too low, then people think, well, maybe they're not that good. This is like, it feels crazy, but that's the way people think. And so for me, it is about, you know you you getting comfortable, first of all, with your hourly rate, which relates to the audience that you're helping. There is no point in charging, um, oh, I don't know, however much an hour, £1,000 an hour, we'll go for crazy. And then thinking, well, actually, I'm focusing on small business owners who've just started their business. It's not relatable. It's not going to work. So you have to think, it goes back to your model, isn't it? Where, who is it that you're helping, and what bracket are they sitting in? What would they pay for? So there's a lot of things to consider. And as you say, it's that, when we're not going to be able to work 40 hours a week with clients. We're just not. So therefore, it's like you've got to take all that into account, that you get your pricing right. So it's a really difficult one, and I don't think there is a one size fits all, which is why we cover it in our 12-week program,
Yeah.
is to help people get comfortable where they are. And yeah, they could start at a certain level. We always encourage, start a bit higher than you think you should start, because it's like, oh, I could go here. No, I think you need to edge it up a little bit,
Yeah.
because it's that fear again. If you're too low, people will just think, yeah, they're probably not that good, which is
Yeah.
sad but true. Yeah.
It is a strange one. Like you say, you can be too expensive, but also you can be
Mm,
too cheap. So it's
yeah.
sort of pitching it right. And it's interesting what you say about, if you want to, earn £1,000 an hour. Well, you can earn £1,000 an hour, but that doesn't have to be one client. Like you set up a
Yeah.
group session. So
Yeah.
bring in 10 people together at £100 is the same as
Exactly.
£1,000. So you just
Exactly.
got to think
Exactly.
sort of a little bit outside the box sometimes, if you're not used to these things, and thinking, well, actually, that's what I want to earn. How do I do that?
Yeah.
If it's one client, or is it 10 clients? Is it 50 clients?
Yeah.
How does that work? And set it up so that you can make it all work. That's with regards to
No, you're right.
ultimately
And
getting the return you want.
exactly. And that's the joy of having your own business, isn't it? Because you can have an online program that you barely do anything with, the people just download it, and um, and it's sitting there. So there's an income stream, and that's goes back to your model. is there are so many ways of earning the amount of money you want, which all take time to set up, as we know. They're not, 10-minute jobs, are they? But it all can be done to fit. Yeah. All good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right, Elaine, we're getting towards the end of our time, but before you go, I just want to share bits and pieces with regards to the 7-step model in my book. So just sit back for a couple of minutes while I do that. So this is the 7-step process that I talk about in the book. And we always start with here, which is mirror. So understanding yourself is key. And definitely if you're setting up a business, you've got to understand yourself with regards to your strengths and weaknesses. So when we put up the mirror, we understand what motivates us. We think about or understand our behaviour styles. We look at character strengths and all that sort of stuff, which a lot of people don't spend a lot of time doing. But actually, I think it's more important than ever if you're going into a business to understand yourself, really understand yourself. What are your strengths, and make sure you use those and make the most of them. And realising those weaknesses that you could work on your weaknesses if you felt that was right, but most cases it's probably accepting your weaknesses and getting other people to help you with those things, and that's where someone like Elaine can help you with regards to a sales scenario where you don't think you're going to be very good at sales. We'll get the right sort of help. It's all about who, not how. So another recommendation for a book to read, understanding that that's a concept you should work on with regards to you can't do everything, so finding the right people to help you is key. Once you understand yourself, evaluating what the business looks like. I'm sure this is very much what Elaine does and Judith does in their group, understanding, evaluating what the business what you want to achieve with your business, and then once you do that, put it into action and see what happens. And sometimes the thing that you set out to do actually might morph into something completely different. So allow yourself to let that happen, because sometimes it's the thing that needs to happen. It's the thing that we need to realise to take the next step that is right for us. And then when things are working right, make sure we've got some systems that work. Those people that have come on my podcast know that this is very much set out in a clear system which keeps my admin down to the minimum. And so systemizing what you do is really important, and learning to do that. It's something I learned in my retail business. Most of my fellow retailers, they weren't systemized in their ordering. We had a very clear a system with regards to how we order everything, and that cuts down the repetition of a product, a vital part of your business. So think about how you can systemize. And if you want to grow a business, you need people. And the last 3 chapters in the book are about unifying a team, reviewing and reflecting on how your business is going, and energizing others so they take on more responsibility. So just a word about motivation, because I always mention it. If you're setting up a business, you've got to think about the reason why you've done that. In most cases, it's because we want more of this, which is the spirit motivator, more freedom, more autonomy to do our things in our way, in the way that we want to do them. So that's probably a key factor with regards to the reason why you set up your business. It might also be about sharing your expertise. That's a common one. And it's probably, talking about sales, it probably wasn't just about making sales. So if that's what low down on your motivations with regards to money isn't a driver, another reason why a sales coach like Elaine might be someone that you need to engage with. And then finally, this is a model I talk about with regards to the 7 steps in any sort of business scenario. You need to start on the check-in stage. So first thing, you need to check where you are. Then you need to have a vision. Then you need to plan that out. Then you need to facilitate, make sure you have the resources you need, and then you need to do it. And then you start again at the check-in stage. So think about how you might use that going forward if you are thinking about going into setting up a business. So, Elaine, any comments to make about those few things I've shared?
Well, all great advice, definitely. I think the point you made about let things evolve. Sometimes it's very easy to get too hung up on things and feel like you have to be in control of everything. And I learned that I was very much, I need to be in control of all of this, and then realise actually it will evolve, and let it evolve to a degree, because actually evolving can give you even better things than you imagined, really. And my last sort of phrase, I guess, is none of us have all of the answers. We just need to know who to ask. Is really key in business. Is just get yourself surrounded by some really great people who you can tap into their knowledge, and it makes the whole thing so much easier, really.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Elaine. Our time's run out. Thank you for your sharing so much of your advice and about your journey and how you got to where you are today. And I wish you well with your program. Sounds like it's going pretty well if you've only got 3 spaces left.
Yeah.
So good luck with that. And yes, again, thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Thanks, Mark. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good stuff. Great. So there you are, Elaine, as a program, if you might be interested in that. So connect with Elaine if you're looking to set up a business, or you're part of the way through, or whatever it is. Check out that program. 12 weeks it is, and goes through all those things with regards to sales, marketing and pricing and all those sort of wonderful things that we need to get right to allow our businesses to thrive. Right, just before we go then, just another mention to the book. You can get that book from me or from Amazon. And if you'd like to contribute to the podcast, then you can do that by buying me a coffee, and buy me 2 coffees, and I will send you a copy of my book, and that would be a pleasure. So it all helps to keep the wheels in motion. If you've joined us live, then hopefully you've got some value. If you catch this on replay, wherever you might find it, we go live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on my YouTube channels. Feel free to leave any comments, any questions you've got for me or for Elaine. Then we'd be more than happy to answer them as soon as we can. But for now, have a great day. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you very soon on the next episode of the Motivated Business Show. Take care.